Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning, everybody. Well, a happy Wednesday to all across the Delaware Valley. The summer of love continues. It's every night at Citizens Bank Park is just another page in a book that is being written all summer long that we have never seen before. This is the Anthony Gargano Show, and we're brought to you by Rite Aid, your neighborhood pharmacy. Visit your local Rite Aid today. Stock up on allergy relief. I was just there. Or catch up on immunizations for RSV, shingles, and more. Walk in, schedule a vaccine appointment at riteaid.com. Well, last night, yet again, it's uncanny how this whole thing is playing out, right? So it's a bullpen game for Milwaukee, and they're getting real good performance out of their pen. They're clinging to one nothing lead. Christopher Sanchez is just dialed in, right? Like the Phillies rotation and the Phillies pitching has been sensational. I mean, so you look at what Sanchez is doing. His WAR, all right, after last night's 6 innings, only 1 run, struck out 3. His WAR is 1.0. By comparison, Yamamoto, who has been the wonderkin so far, right, from Japan, 0.9. That's Christopher Sanchez. This is an unbelievable run that they're on. It's incredible. One after another in the Phillies rotation. And so last night, it's just good baseball. Milwaukee's a good team, right? It's 1-0, and here's Bohm to start the 8th. Bohm bomb to tie it. And then, JT, who took one in the Gigi, right? He took a nasty one, makes the great play at home to save off a run. And that sets the tone for Nick Castellanos, right? Castellanos rips a double, game winner. The Phillies' 4th walk-off win of the season. They're now 43-19, and they just don't lose. And the greatest thing about it is I think everybody is swept up in it. Like, this whole story's playing out nightly. And everybody's just like, let's try to win every game. I said earlier, this is a couple weeks ago, that I really want that Mariners record. I know it doesn't mean anything, and obviously you want to win the World Series, and I get it, and the whole thing. But I want that 116. Like I want to break that record, and it's something to follow along when you have a great team like the Phillies right now are just a juggernaut, right? Like, and in the ways they're winning, it's uncanny because they really haven't gone crazy from the bat standpoint, right? Schwarber has been pretty docile. We talked about it about Bryce, like he was player of the month in the NL, but we've seen him have even more pronounced big months. This thing is one after another, one game to the next, and that place is wild. They celebrated last night like they won the pennant. Dude, after Castellanos hits the double, they're running out of the dugout, mobbing them. And it's the greatest thing in the world. Like, I love that, right? Like, the crowd's freaking out. The crowd feels like a playoff atmosphere every night. And I don't know about you guys, but having, covered baseball a long time, and obviously like you guys, growing up a huge Phillies fan as a kid and everything, go back a long way. There's nothing been like this. I mean, look, they were great in 11. That's the closest thing. Like, they were really good. And I guess They were really good in the mid-'70s during that first kind of run, but nothing like this. And we've seen and as great as the run was from 07 through 11, we've never seen Citizens Bank Park alive every night. And these are just nights like crazy. Like, it's June 5th today, right? June 5th. And the Phillies are just going wild. Like, the fans are going wild. And every night feels like October. And maybe that's the story, is that we're treating every game like it's a playoff game, which is so uncommon in baseball. And that's why it's been an absolute blast. And the way they win, there's always a new hero, and there's always someone who comes up with a big hit. So it's Bohm with the game-tying home run, and Castellanos, who's been a little quiet, he gets the game winner, and Sanchez is fantastic. And when you look at even Sir Anthony gives you a good inning, that was impressive. I mean, I got to tell you, I thought it was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wow. That was popping off. Brought to you by Alipop. That's right. Find your favorite Alipop flavor at your nearest Wawa. Good morning, JP.
Buenos dias, cuz. How are you feeling?
Buenos dias.
How's your allergies today?
Yeah,
We're all worried for you here in the office for your allergies.
I'm on the Benadryl high. So it is what it is.
Well, I'm on the Philly side, cuz.
I mean, dude, this thing has been a blast.
Oh my God.
And I know we kind of keep saying it, but I love it because every day is a new page. I always look at a season as a book, right?
For sure. Especially baseball.
And then you break it up into chapters. Well, the daily thing of baseball, and you're right, especially baseball, is that it's every day, every game is a page, right? That you leaf through.
Right.
And the pages of this season has been uncanny.
Yeah.
Everyone is thrilled with fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and just finding a way to win, right? Like that was a long game, right? Like they don't get their runs until later in the game. And so you're waiting here, and then here comes the crowd of the Phillies. And I think that's the big story here, especially as of late. I took a look here at the MLB because they're 26-9 at home. They're absolutely dominating in that record mark there for wins at home. The second place team in the league, I believe, are the Mariners, who have 21 wins at home on the season. So what they're doing at home is the big difference right now, and that's why they're so hot. And I know you're on the 116 with the Mariners record, right? So I actually looked it up. The Mariners back in 2001 on this day were 45-12.
Wow.
At this point in 2000, obviously, we're looking at 23 years ago, but I mean, we're on that track to the record that you want.
I mean, dude, I got to tell you, it's also the way that you mentioned the record at home, the way we celebrate this thing. Like last night, like they're into it. Like Castellanos hits the game-winning double, and they spill out of the dugout and look at the mob them and celebrating like they won the pennant. Like, that's cool. That's something that's not been done.
Right.
Like, we haven't seen baseball being played like this. We haven't seen baseball being celebrated like this.
It's fun, cuz it's so much fun. This series is a lot of fun. Obviously, we had fun with Rishi on Monday, but yesterday, like, that was fun baseball to go down the wire. Our boy Nicky Castellanos, which I did on the. By the way, make sure you guys are following PHLY Gargano Show. But I tweeted out from the show channel because last week while you were out, Jamie Lynch brought up Nick Castellanos. He wanted him to go a little more hembo. He wanted to get a little more sluttier, unbutton one more button. And look, that was a great job. And I hear the rumblings that Liam Castellanos is in the area. So, cause it may be hitting season for Nick Castellanos. And if that's the case, that's a big clubhouse guy. And if you can get some power from him for the rest of the summer, it's going to be freaking awesome. And oh, by the way, we're doing this without our boy Trey Turner, which is absolutely super impressive. The fact that this lineup has been able to rake, not even just the lineup, but this defense has been spectacular. I even looked like a guy like Alec Boehm yesterday, who I thought was really good. He flashed the leather a couple times. Honestly, like, to me, he was the player of the game. Obviously, we'll look at Castellanos at the end, but Alec Boehm made some big plays over at third base. And then, he hits the big homer at the angle in center field. That ties up the game in the 8th, and the rest is history there. And again, feeding off the momentum. That's why we talk about the vibes in the clubhouse. That's why we talk about when a guy like Dave Dole comes into that clubhouse and he's feeling the vibes right there. That's what we're talking about. It's so contagious, and we're going to see how the rest of this week plays out, but it's a lot of fun. You already won the series against the Brewers, and then obviously after this series, the real fun starts, because then this weekend we'll be in London playing against the Mets. And it's going to be an exciting week here. A lot of fun so far, cuz.
Yeah, it's just a blast, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's got that kind of whole thing going. The London thing is taking on its own kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, Rob McElhenney and Chase and
everyone's
Chase
waiting.
Utley.
Who's he gonna have a catch with? That's what we're all waiting for.
All right, so let's play the game along.
All right.
All right. So this is fun. So if I said to you, your 2 favorite Phillies off of the Rob thing,
Okay.
all right, and Always Sunny in Philadelphia, he's got Chase, who's always his guy, right, from the episode, and Bryce. And it's funny because Bryce, I get, even someone like me who's old and grizzled, right? I love Bryce. Like, I grew up, it was Mike Schmidt as my, Larry
sure.
Boa was I love Larry Boa, right? And then you get older and the whole thing. And of course, during that whole run with Jimmy and Chase, and I loved Ryan Howard, Bryce is the best. I mean, like, it would probably for me go between Larry Boa and Bryce Harper.
I mean, in this era, it's hard not to go with Bryce Harper. I mean, he's all of our favorite. He's a superstar player. I mean, he plays with Philadelphia on his sleeve every day. You would think Bryce Harper is from Philadelphia the way he carries himself. But I have to go with Bryce, especially with this era. And look, there's a lot of fun players in that clubhouse in this current era. But if I'm looking at in my generation, obviously, I have to look at the late 2000 or 2010 team. And look, there's a lot of fun players during that time, right? Like J-Roll, Chase Utley, the big piece, as Andrew Frazier likes to bring up as well. But I mean, listen, as a former catcher myself and a proud Latino, Chooch was a lot of fun, man. And the fact of the matter is that, listen, Chooch had the tough job of being the catcher for those aces every single day, catching stuff from some of the great pitchers in that era. I mean, so for me, I would have the tough decision. Do I want to have the catch with Chooch, or do I want to have the catch with Bryce Harper? And that would be my moment in London. But listen, by the way, that was a great job from the Phillies creating that marketing scheme, right? Because that was awesome. You bring back a great episode from a show that we love dearly here in Philly and Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and then you mix it with today's era, right? Bryce Harper or Chase Utley. Who's he going to have the catch with? And now everyone now is waiting for this London series because of that. And we were all waiting for this London series because it's a super cool opportunity. It's the same thing with the Eagles in Brazil. Our team is going to be highlighted internationally. We're going to be gaining some new fans as well. And
the London thing, though, is you're right about the Brazil thing is fun, but the London thing is so interesting, right? Like, this whole London series is fascinating. And the fact that it's Phillies Mets, right? And the fact it's got this international flair to it. And there is a great pub in London called
I hear about it.
Passyunk Avenue, right? Passyunk Avenue. And we're going to have the guy who owns it is awesome, JP.
I can't wait.
And he just loves Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And this has always been, it's funny, I've been toying with this idea for a while.
Okay.
About writing this book about this love affair, right? Like, but how do you capture it? How do you capture the love affair? And it's why every night as I watch these games and I watch the fans respond to this team, it's different. I thought the run 2 years ago was something that we've never seen. And I kind of chalked it up to because it came out of nowhere. Remember, going into the playoffs, there was no, it was like, hey, hopefully.
We got swept by the Cubs in September.
Right.
In Chicago.
It was like, hey, you know what? You never know what happens.
Right.
And let's see what happens. And then there was that day in St. Louis, right? It all started the first game of the wild card series in St. Louis, where it looks like it's done and the miracle happens. And then they go on the run.
It was a little Cinderella-esque.
It was.
That 2022 season.
It really was. And they go on that just incredible run, and everybody got swept up in it.
Yeah. Yeah, but like it was, I think a lot of people too felt like the 2008 connection as well because like of the drought before 2000. I know we made the playoffs in 07, but it was a long time where we didn't win here in Philadelphia with the Phillies. So I think the 2022 team brought a lot of those same feelings from 08. The team went on a deep run, and it was a Cinderella story, and everyone got behind it. Not even just in Philly, but in the baseball world as well. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really was. But even beyond that, you know what was wild? Like it was maybe unexpected. Maybe it was the fact that we were all like just got caught up in something that, you know, we call about the year of the blue snow. And that was when the Eagles go on the Super Bowl run, no one expected it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was that.
Those are the best, cuz.
Yeah, like those unexpected moments, right?
Yeah.
Like it was the Flyers in 2010 when they go on that incredible run. It was like, and again, they made the playoffs that Sunday in the shootout, right? Like that's when they make the playoffs. Right. So they do that, and they go on that epic run that ends against Chicago.
Right.
The Phillies, same thing. The Eagles, you know, no one expected when Carson goes down. So here it is, the Phillies go on this run, and it continued, but it wasn't like that last season. Like what we're seeing daily, forget about the record, because obviously the record matters, but we haven't seen, like even when they started to get hot in June, this whole thing wasn't like that.
No, because they're playing like the best team in baseball right now, and I think a lot of people love that too. But to your point with the 2010 Flyers, the 2017 Birds, and the 22 Phillies, like I think what people fell in love the most with is because I think in Philadelphia, sometimes we kind of connect with the underdog, right? And those teams were unexpected. And like, yeah, the 22 Eagles were a lot of fun, but they were rolling the whole league throughout the entire season. But those surprise runs in 2010, 2017, and 22 for the Phils, like those were runs that people get behind because they were underdogs. And it was a Cinderella story. It's something that kind of connected with all of us Philadelphians because we don't win a lot here in Philadelphia. And when you get a team like that who fights hard every single day, every single night, it's a lot of fun, and we always seem to get behind that, cuz.
Yeah, I know. And listen, one of the things, though, that's different is it's early for this, right? So why has it happened? I mean, I know it's because they're winning, but there's got to be some other reason. Like, we almost came into this season expecting this.
Right. I think of the continuity, right? Because like a lot of these players have been together for a couple.
That's a good point.
For a couple of years.
Yeah, that's a real good point.
You know, this strong core, like your Bryce Harper, your JT Realmuto.
Well, no, I think, yeah, and you got to give Dombrowski credit.
Yeah.
You know, you got to give Dombrowski credit for that because, you know, that's a big deal, right? Like keeping this team together, making sure that after last year, you go, listen, we'll just tweak it. We're good. You know, and I think the continuity, but again, I'm still trying to figure out, and I don't know what it is, right? I'm trying to figure out why the reaction.
From the fans, you're saying?
Yeah.
Why the reaction? I mean, I just think.
I mean, again, they're good. Continuity is a piece of it, but what else is there?
I feel like they're a little bit relatable as well. Like when you see like the daycare, like having fun, you know, they're. You know, seeing Alec Boehm and Brandon Marsh rooming together, like people love that type of stuff. Like
they do. Listen. No, we have a love affair. I think you're right. I think, and that goes with the continuity, right? Like when you have players that are, you know, constant and don't go anywhere, and there's not a lot of turnover. Mm-hmm. When you have that, you get to know them, right? You and there's a connection. You feel them. And I do believe that there's a great love affair between the fan base and this group of guys. And they are relatable. Like, you know, the whole Boehm situation and Stott and like you mentioned, daycare, all of them, right? Like they're all living in Haddonfield, right? Like close by, and people run into them. I told the story a couple times, about this woman who ran into Bryce at Home Depot when Bryce was hurt and he had the elbow.
Right.
And he took the selfie for her. Like, just, amazing stuff. So there's definitely a love affair between the fan base and these players. But the reaction, dude, I can't stress to you enough that baseball is not consumed this way.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, it's one of those sports we always talk about it, right? Like baseball is a sport you put in the background, right? Especially in the summertime. And playoffs are obviously different, but in the summertime, in the meat of the season,
dude,
background noise.
It's not. And when you go to a game in April, May, June, July, August, September, it's not consumed. There's moments, right? Like last night, we walk off. But not to that degree.
I know.
Not to that. I've covered 1 million baseball games. I mean, if I told you how many games that I've covered in my career, they all blend into each other, right? Like, I've been in sleepy environments like Montreal and old Shea Stadium, which was a toilet. Man. The vet days, right? I remember covering a game between two bad teams in like August in St. Louis. It was like 110 degrees. Nobody was in the stands. It's like these horrible environments, right? And then, like big moments, but not like this. This is different. This is October playing out every night.
Because this city's bought in. This city knows that this team is good. And that's why right now in June, I mean, honestly, like this started in the beginning of May. The way this crowd was feeding off the energy.
You know
of this
what's
team?
odd about it? Do you remember there was, after the first two series, there was like grousing. Like, oh my God, another slow start. Right?
Braves are going to take a division.
It was 2 series.
Yeah. Look, it's lots of change.
It was 2 series.
Get the ball rolling, gets a little warmer, and now we're in hitting season.
Well, not only that, like think about the whole landscape, right? So not only has the whole thing changed, but there are, Strider's hurt, Acuna's out. Like both of their 2 best players, best pitcher and best position player, out for the season.
Yeah. No, and listen, and I mean, Braves.
The Mets are a mess, right? Which you absolutely love. Like they're a mess, and it feels like as good. Everybody talked about the Dodgers when the Dodgers got Ohtani, right?
Yeah.
And look, who's to say what happens in October? And they're very good. But in reality, the Phillies are the best team.
No, they 100% are the best team. I mean, listen, the Brewers too. Let's not shy away, but the Brewers are the first place in their division, right? They're a solid team, solid pitching as well. And you won this series here with the Milwaukee Brewers, even with an emotional night like Monday night. So this Phillies team continues to just pass all the tests with flying colors. And we haven't even talked about the pitching staff as well, who's been on a historical pace thus far. The whole entire starting rotation. It's been ridiculous this year.
I know. Well, that rotation, I mean, I was talking about Sanchez earlier.
Oh, it was great last night.
I mean, his WAR is 1. Yamamoto's WAR is 0.9.
Yeah.
He's your ridiculous. 4th starter.
Yeah.
Dude, 4th starter. The Cy Young Award leaders, Wheeler, Ranger, Nola, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And Sanchez, your 4th starter.
And it looks like, looks like Walker might be the 5th starter according to Topper.
Well,
going forward.
Yeah, well,
We're going to treat him like Spencer Howard, aren't we? We're going to have Turnbull as his caregiver when he starts.
Well, again, they have a luxury to do that.
Right.
It's just like, hey, there's no need to pull the plug now. Let him see if he can go, string together a couple good starts. And, come August, you can always put Turnbull in there.
Yeah, use him up until you can.
I mean, that's just the bottom line. All right. Yeah. That was a lot of fun, man. I every night, I look forward to it.
Fun.
So today, 4:00, right? The next installment, the next page of the book will happen. So we're looking forward to that. And then it's off to London. So we'll have some fun. Hey, coming up, I cannot wait to talk a little Eagles. because mandatory minicamp is underway. Bo Wulf from our All Eagles show will join us, which is always a blast. So looking forward to that. We'll talk a little Birds because it's football season, baby, too.
I can't look
The
too far
countdown,
ahead.
91 days.
You're
right.
Fletcher Cox days.
You're right about normally, and I want to do the countdown. I always love the 100 days of football.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this forever. It's 91 days to the start of the NFL season.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel as anxious because of the Phillies.
I haven't thought too much about it. And I'm curious what people thought. Like, have you thought a lot about the Eagles with the Phillies' success thus far in Philadelphia? Because, like, for myself, like, I obviously, like, we all love the Birds, but this Phillies team's occupied a lot of my minds thus far.
Yeah, although I like to multitask. I'm a multitasker, so I like having everything. I want it to be all like, that's why I love October, because that's the confluence of all sports. It's the best.
I love to multitask.
All right, let's talk about Rite Aid for a second. It's funny. I've been having these allergy attacks, and so I wander into the local Rite Aid. All right, and I had a flashback because I tell a story about my Aunt Cookie, who was she had a disease called scleroderma, and she was on a ton of medication. And a lot of times that medication had a lot of side effects, as you can well imagine. And when you're mixing meds for side effects, you need guidance. And the people at Rite Aid were always so nice, right? They were just always really helpful. The pharmacists took their time and they would talk about it, help you come up with a strategy. I mean, they were really, really great. And so I walk in and I'm having all kinds of reactions, right? And so it makes you tired, and there's nothing worse than trying to go about your day and trying to go about your work day, and you're just zonked from allergy medication. So you think, what's non-drowsy, what may work, and the whole thing, and they're just there for you. Hey, make sure you get your nasal, make sure you get your eyes, right? All that stuff. They're just fantastic. Do yourself a favor, right? Check out riteaid.com for all of your allergy relief. It's going on. I mean, you can see the pollen count every day. You check the air quality, and it's just nasty. And that's where your local Rite Aid comes in. Your Rite Aid pharmacist is will take care of you, help you, give you advice. You tell them your symptoms, right? And they're going to give you the best stuff for you. Visit your local Rite Aid today. Stock up on allergy relief, or you can catch up on immunizations for RSV, shingles, and more. Walk in or schedule a vaccine appointment at riteaid.com.
Awesome stuff, cuz. All right, guys, listen. Let's talk about another touchy subject here, all right? And let's talk about home buying, because I know, like yourself, it is extremely stressful right now in today's day and age. Obviously, we all see the housing pricing, right? We're all seeing all these interest rates skyrocket at an alarming rate. And I understand that completely. But I want to tell you guys about my friends over Mortgage CS, because in this time, this day and age, it can be easier to buy a house, because with a mortgage company like Mortgage CS, they'll make it more easier for you. Yes, rates are slightly higher, but home prices are still rising. Mortgage CS can help you get into home before they go even higher. And also refinance to save money when those rates drop. I'm looking at that opportunity. I'm going to tell you that right now. Who doesn't love that? The same house with a lower payment. I would love that myself. Values are expected to keep going up, so don't put off buying just because rates are slightly elevated. Refinancing with Mortgage CS is straightforward. When rates drop, Mortgage CS will monitor your refinance opportunities and ensure you save money responsibly. You don't want to pay a ton of fees when you refinance. You'll never get that at Mortgage CS. And in the end, you'll be happy you texted Ben, the CEO of Mortgage CS, Ben Sucker. That's right. His cell phone number is at the bottom left of the screen if you're watching on YouTube, but if you're listening on podcast, it's 267-391-7425. And do yourself a favor. Text him right now and ask him anything. You can even ask him how he feels about the Phillies. Has he been to Citizens Bank Park lately? That place is electric right now, all right? Or you know what? Ask him some simple questions to get your home buying process started here today. It is that simple. Again, that number is 267-391-7425. You can also go to mortgagecs.com/PHLY to check them out. and view over their 350 plus 5-star reviews. Guys, over 350 people believe that they deserve 5 stars because their customer service is absolutely exceptional. So right now, check out Mortgage CS, text them, search them, and get your home buying process started here today.
All right, buddy. Sounds good. All right, time to talk some birds. Mandatory mini camp underway. South Philadelphia. I love Nick yesterday. Nick Sirianni said that he was getting a little housed by the some local Giant fans.
Boo.
And he goes, "We got your best player." Joining us from the All Eagles show, who does such a great job, my man, Bo Wulf. Hello, Bo. Good morning.
What's up, Gus?
So I'm dying to know, like, all little nuance of what I know it doesn't mean anything, but it's a great excuse to talk about what's ahead. You know, we're 91 days from the start of the NFL season.
Fletcher Cox, 91.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Very good. I like that. So give me stuff that stood out yesterday.
You know, yesterday I was watching the secondary very closely, and it started before practice when in that press conference, Nick Sirianni hinted and came out and said that, we might see James Bradbury working at safety. He sort of compared him to Charles Woodson and guys who have moved from corner to safety over the years. Now, heading into minicamp, we didn't see James Bradbury during OTAs. I think we have the expectation that he's not going to be on this team in 2024. They drafted Quinyon Mitchell. They drafted Cooper DeJean. They've got Keely Ringo in the pipeline. James Bradbury obviously had a down year last year. My expectation has been that they would wait and see if they can get some compensation for him, probably wait until training camp, see if anybody suffers an injury, and then they can get a little bit of cap relief for that contract. So it was interesting for Sirianni to say that he would be working at safety yesterday. They obviously have some need for depth at that position. You've got C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship set as the starters. Avonte Maddox has been working there as a backup over the course of the past couple of weeks. But other than that, there is an opportunity. That is a place where Bradbury could get on the field. And then right at the start of practice, Bradbury sort of walks off the field with a trainer, suffered some kind of minor injury. And so we didn't get to see him. And I don't know if that was obfuscation or it's like, you're just hiding him, or, if it was a significant thing and they had to sort of adjust from there. But all of that is to say, like, the James Bradbury surprise, the unveiling of what it was he was going to be this spring sort of fizzled out. We didn't get to see that. However, we did see, you saw Darius Slay on the outside with Keely Ringo. And Keely Ringo yesterday looked really good. And I think Keely Ringo is an interesting player for this team because I would still expect that Quinyon Mitchell is the front runner to be the starter week one opposite Darius Slay. But if it's not him, Isaiah Rodgers has had a very good spring, but Keely Ringo is the guy who makes more sense to me. And Keely Ringo has a real chance. Like if you are dreaming about the future of the Eagles secondary, what it could look like, call it in 2025, Ringo and Mitchell on the outside with DeJean playing the nickel, like that could be really nice. And if those guys hit, then all of a sudden you have sort of solved that position, this position that has been such a turnover over the course of the past decade for the Eagles. They could be in good shape there.
I liked Ringo. By the way, the big story, Bo Wulf, Eagles minicamp, presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY. Stop at your local branch to learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark Financial. I loved Ringo. I remember I thought that was a really good value pick and thinking, you know what, that he could pay off. And I kept wondering, I know he's been a bit of work in progress, a little bit of in that sense, but I'm glad you're bringing him up because I still like him. I still think he can pan out for them.
Well, it was interesting, last year, it was the top of the fourth round. They traded a future third-round pick for Ringo, which is not usually the way that Howie Roseman operates. Yeah. So it tells you that they had him pretty high up on their board. And, he had an up in, like, last summer, he did not look great. He was behind some of the other guys like Eli Ricks, just in the way that they were playing last summer. But then you saw him get on the field midway through the season, and it was clear that he had made some strides behind the scenes. And the really nice thing about Keely Ringo, and part of why you can really talk yourself into that investment last year, is he's so young. I mean, he's younger than Quinion Mitchell. He's like the 4th or 5th youngest guy on the team still as a second-year player. And so, like, if you're just thinking long-term, what this guy can turn into, there was a play yesterday where A.J. Brown, it's a catch, right? Jalen Hurts hits A.J. Brown on the sideline. But A.J. Brown is as physical and dynamic as anybody that you're going to see in the NFL. And Keely Ringo was all over it. It was a tough, contested catch. And I thought that, like, that was a play where, yeah, on the stat sheet, it would have gone down as a catch, but it showed you that he does have the physical tools to potentially hang in the league.
All right, so let's look at the defensive front. What are you seeing there? And talk about Jordan Davis coming in, apparently is in better shape.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, in these camps, the guys called it they're in pajamas, right? The coaches say, like, you can't really see anything from the defensive line or most of the offensive line aside from just where they're lining up depth chart wise. However, talking to the coaches and talking to Jordan Davis, it's clear that, being in better shape is his number one priority this offseason, both his and the team's for him. And it is an important thing because there is a bit of a tension between Vic Fangio's history and Howie Roseman's history in terms of how much they rotate the defensive linemen. And we saw that last year, like Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick and Fletcher Cox were playing more snaps than they had ever played. And the second half of the season, Josh Sweat totally fell off a cliff, right? He had no sacks in the last 8 games of the season. However, Vic Fangio has very much leaned on his best players in the past. Christian Wilkins last year, who would be the Jalen Carter comp this year, played like almost 80% of the snaps for them, which would be way more than a defensive lineman has played for the Eagles over the past decade. And so I would expect that Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are going to be asked to play a lot more snaps than they did a year ago. And so, they have to be in better shape in order to be able to withstand all of that.
Yeah, the other interesting thing, let's go to the other side of the ball for a second, is wide receiver depth. I know John Ross is back, and what do you see now? Obviously, Howie, we're a long ways away once training camp starts, and he'll keep an eye out and see who's on the street. But what do you kind of see from that position when it comes to wide receiver depth?
Yeah, it's interesting, and they've thrown a lot of darts at the board, right? And one of them has already flown away in Devontae Parker. Nick Sirianni was asked about this, and he said, they don't have to. It doesn't have to be the same guy. They can answer that with a bunch of different ways, right? It could be 12 personnel, and he's talking up Grant Calcaterra as a guy who has flashed for them, but to be fair, has been in the league for 2 years and has never had more than like 10 catches.
Yeah.
It could be Paris Campbell, who offers a little bit of speed. It could be Anaya Smith if he is able to come early. But we did this exercise on the show last week, like all of the Eagles for the past 15, 20 years, like the best season you're thinking about is like John Hightower with like 11 catches for 200 yards or something like that. Like it is unrealistic.
That's a bust out name. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Jason Avant, it's a 4th round pick, turns into a great slot receiver, but as a rookie, he had like 7 catches, right? Like it doesn't often happen early for these guys. And so they're going to have to get a little bit lucky, I think. Now it'll be somebody, it could end up being, Britton Covey takes some of those snaps. I think ideally they would like it to be somebody on the outside so that they can move Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown into the slot and create mismatches that way. But that may not be what they have. The other really important thing here is like finding who that 4th option in the passing game is a thing that it just may not matter to Jalen Hurts because he doesn't throw to those guys very often. Now, maybe that's just because there hasn't been a great option, but we saw all the time on tape last year, like Alberto Cuegbanam just sitting wide open past the sticks and Jalen Hurts not throwing him the ball. Same thing to Olamide Zaccheaus and Quez Watkins. Like whether or not they were open, they didn't get the ball. And frankly, like you can't really fault Jalen Hurts for not throwing the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but maybe we overstate how important that person is. I think what's more important about it. I
don't know, brother. I'm a big believer. Like
I'm with you, and I actually think the most important thing about it.
Jordan Love did with the Packers, right? Like they have
totally
an array of receivers, right, and spreading the ball around, especially when secondaries are going to roll coverages. Like that's very real when it comes to Devontae. Now you're built well because of Goddard and Barkley out of the backfield, but still, like you're talking about a spot he should be able to sit down in space and get you 8 yards every time.
I agree. And even with Barkley, Jalen Hurts has not thrown the ball to running backs a ton in the past. And so that's going to be something that he has to prove. I actually think the biggest problem with it is not even who is it going to be when everybody's healthy. It's Jalen, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown have been very healthy over the past 2 years. A.J. Brown had some injury issues in Tennessee. At some point, that's not going to continue, whether it's short term or medium term or long term. And they're going to need somebody who can step in those situations that they can count on. And I don't know that they have that at the moment.
This portion of the show brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app. It's funny because what's the vibe around Jalen? Because we saw great Jalen 2 years ago. We saw spotty Jalen last year. We all give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the OC and the issues. He's going to be really interesting to watch because you're right, man. When you talk about spreading the ball around and seeing it, this is a big deal for him. You got a new OC. You got a new piece of this offense for him. What's the vibe around Jalen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make too much of spring practices, right? Like this is one tiny little piece of the puzzle. And at the same time, they're installing a new offense. So there are lots of moving parts. At the same time, the stuff right now should be weighted towards the offense, right? Like the passing game should look really crisp. And Devontae Smith was gone for the last 2 weeks, but last week he has got 2 interceptions in the middle of practice. Yesterday he had an interception on the second throw of 7-on-7s. It has not been the most crisp passing that I have seen from him. He is not typically like the greatest practice player. He is more of a gamer than a practice player. But in terms of like the big expectations for him, I want to see something added to his game this year, right? And whether that is finding the fourth option in the passing game, working your way through the progressions a little bit more, whether it's just getting back to the athletic dynamism that he had in 2022, which was gone last year, adding that back to his game, that would be great.
Do you think they're going to use him more in the run game?
I don't think they're going to use him more, but I think they need to use
more
him
than last year because he didn't,
right. I think part of the theory behind paying up for Saquon Barkley is that you don't have to lean on Jalen quite as much. Yeah. But I mean, when he has a chance to go get a first down, I hope that he takes it. And I hope that they are using it enough that it changes the math for defensive front sevens, that they have to respect him, right?
Well, I actually like the way they deployed him 2 years ago, right? Like
totally.
Like they protected him. Like when he got hurt at the end of the year, that was in the pocket he got hurt, right? So it wasn't like he was getting hurt on a run play. I thought he protected himself pretty well when he got to the outside.
He usually does a good job, in getting out of bounds, and he has like a very efficient way, at least in 2022, of like the exact straight line to as many yards as he can get without getting hit. He's done that well in the past. He did it not as well last year, and you saw him like sort of sliding and doing those give up slides a bunch. I would absolutely like to see him get back to that. I am very curious to see how it looks this year.
Yeah, I am too. By the way, how's Pickett look?
He looks fine. I'm not moved too much either way. Like it's not like a huge arm. I personally kind of like Tanner McKee, like a little bit more just in terms of
I love McKee's arm. McKee has a nice arm.
He does. He's a big guy. It's an easy throwing motion. Pickett has to work a little bit harder to get the ball there, but he's made a couple nice throws down the seam. Throws to the outside have sort of floated a little bit for my eyes.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. What about Sirianni? How's I guess he was in pretty jovial spirits because he talked about the whole Giants fans and how they were busting his shot. Yeah,
he was ragging on the guys during special teams yesterday. They were doing a drill where they're practicing downing the punt inside the 10, inside the 5, and poor Sean Stevens, this rookie who made the team as a tryout player has a ball. He's underneath at like the 4-yard line waiting to catch it, and he lets it bounce and it goes past him, and Sirianni just gets livid. And it was sort of like he was looking for an excuse to get mad and to really coach them up, right? It's like we got to pin him deep. This is what we work on this so much, we got to do it. And poor Sean Stevens doesn't make it happen. And then later in the drill, Josh Jobe does a great job, and Sirianni's all about that. And then the next one, Quinion Mitchell goes, and he doesn't do it. Like he misses the opportunity, and Sirianni's furious again. Now, to be fair, probably maybe a chess not checkers move from Quinion Mitchell. Like, you don't need me being a gunner. No, you didn't draft me in the first round to do this, right? Like, I can't do it. You might as well put somebody else on this job. But it was sort of like. Nick needed an excuse. And I wanted to ask him about this yesterday. I will ask him about it later this week. Like the on-field coaching of young guys in practice, it does feel like one of his favorite parts of the job. I don't think that he loves sort of like the backroom machinations and the internal politicking and stuff like that. We know how excited and manic he can get during games, but the individual coaching, I feel like is a thing that he takes pride in. And so I think he does sort of enjoy that process.
Yeah, that's cool. Bo, always great, man. What time you guys on today?
3:30. So we'll have full reaction from what we see today during the second minicamp practice with Zach Berman live at 3:30. Excited to do it.
I love it, man. Can't wait for it. You guys are killing it. Great stuff, my brother.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy. There he is. Bo Wulf, the all PHLY Eagles show. All right. Time now for the brain. Brain.
Red, the brain finder.
The brain. Hello, brain.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Brain is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app right now. NOLA against Milwaukee series finale. $25 on the combo bet. Fightins and over 9 will $25 pays 2-1. So you bring back 50 off of that. You could bet first 3 innings, first 5 innings, the whole game. You got all the props you want, home runs, strikeouts, hits. Bet all your favorite sports in the Bet Parks app right now. You can also play live Baccarat, live roulette, also several different live blackjack games. Play them all right now with a live dealer on your phone with the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app. All kinds of slots you want, all the action, safe, easy to use. You got to check it out. New users right now, download the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app. You get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Casino bonus must be wagers. BetParks.com has all the details. Got to be 21, PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Ohio, or Michigan. Gambling problem, call 1-800-MICHIGAN. You love to play. You play to win. You bet Parks. All right, big brain. The fight.
You're not going to be down in 24 hours. Anthony, if you're watching our show, you're not going to be down in the first 24 hours on the Park site. We got to worry about that.
You got that right. And by the way, you killed it yesterday, and the Fightins don't lose. They're like
it's amazing.
You and the big brain.
It is absolutely amazing. Look, yeah, they're playing incredible. It's interesting. Milwaukee, Anthony, has actually been a much better team than I thought they would be this year. They really have been a plucky team. I give them a lot of credit. This team, despite, let's look what happened to this team in the offseason. They lose Brandon Woodruff, who was their best starter for the year, and they lost Corbin Burns, who won the Cy Young a few years ago. They trade him in a salary purge move, and they're playing their best ball they've ever played. And they're doing it, and they lost their manager too. So this is a team I actually think they're going to be there at the end, and I think this is a team. Obviously, the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Braves are the 3 teams that'll get all the publicity, but I actually think this Brewers team is not going to go away this year. I think they'll be a force in the postseason potentially.
Yeah, I agree. I like them. I like them a lot. Hey, do me a favor, because we got to pick up where we left off with our win totals.
Oh, okay.
Right? Our NFL win totals. So I want to get into that a little bit, since it's mini camps in the air on this Wednesday, mandatory mini camps. Let's start off. You ready? Let's pick up where we left off. The Chargers 8.5. And I love the over because I love Harbaugh. You watch, they're going to get that offensive line fixed. I see 8.5. I think it's a stone over.
Well, for me, Anthony, I'm neutral on this. I made the number 8.5. I actually did bet under 9.5. Parks briefly had a 9.5, and I actually did bet under 9.5. Look, we usually agree on this stuff. We're usually very simpatico. Here's why I'm gonna disagree with you slightly. Again, I'm neutral on 8.5. I'm not disagreeing with you. 9.5. Obviously, the numbers moved down to 8.5, so it has moved down. But look, obviously, they have the great coach in Harbaugh, and they have the great quarterback. And actually, look, if you usually say it's not if you just take the good quarterback and the good coach, that's usually a recipe that never loses. But Anthony, I just worry about the rest of the team. Do they have a good defense? No. Do they have a good running game? No. Do they have good receivers? No. Can the coach and the quarterback be a deodorant for all that? Certainly possible. But to me, Anthony, again, to me, it's a pass. But the only reason I'm not playing the under, actually, is because of what you said. I have so much respect for the coach and the quarterback. This team could win 12 games because of that combination. And eventually, I have no doubt, Anthony, this will be a good team. I have no doubt that he will turn this.
Yeah, he'll turn it around. I guess you know what I like about 8.5 is like I see them going 9 and 8. Like
they don't have to be great.
Just from his toughness, right? Like from his toughness standpoint, he'll fix the offensive line. Like his first thing is to go, and this is what Harbaugh does, right? He just goes and attacks the trenches. He'll fix the O-line. And the O-line itself and the way he'll play, he'll run the ball, he'll 100%. And you know how what'll happen, right? The quarterback will flourish because there's going to be so much less pressure on him, even without the weapons.
Anthony, I'll say this. This is the best way I can say for everyone watching. Here's how I view the Chargers. If they were a stock, I'm buying them. A long-term hold. Long-term hold. Now, is it a stock that you're going to get an instant gratification on in 2024, which is all we're talking about for these purposes? Not as sure on that, but I do agree with you. I will be stunned if this team is not long-term, Anthony, really, really good, just because of the coach and the quarterback.
All right, this one I don't understand either. And this is the LA Rams. We go from Chargers to the Rams, and they're 8.5 too. That seems low to me.
I bet the over, Anthony. Listen, obviously they lose the great, incomparable Aaron Donald. That's obviously not going to help matters. But, Anthony, look, this team was really good down the stretch. If you remember that game, I'm sure you do. It was that Lions game. That was one of the best games in the playoffs. And they lost a heartbreaker to Detroit, and Detroit was really, really good. This is a team, Anthony, that I think obviously you have – Stafford showed to me and to many others that people forget. This guy still is probably – is it hyperbole to say the best quarterback in the NFC? I don't think it is necessarily hyperbole. And, people like me maybe pushed him off to the side too much because of his injury situation. But when he plays and he's healthy, and now obviously getting Nakua was a massive, massive move. You have him, and you have obviously Cooper Kupp. Kieran Williams was great. They added Blake Corum in the draft. This is a team offensively should be stout. They had some really good draft picks last year on the defensive side of the ball.
They know how to draft. The Rams can draft.
Yeah, well, they finally had a first-round pick this year, Anthony. They drafted first in Florida State. I have, to me, this was an easy over.
Yep.
Easy over.
Miami, 9.5.
Yeah. This, Anthony, I bet under 10.5. I still like under 9.5. Look, the division, Anthony, I got to be honest. Look, obviously Buffalo's going down, but I still think Buffalo's probably better than them. I really like the Jets substantially better than them. This is the team, Anthony, that was completely healthy last year. And I think they did win their 10 or 11 games without Tua missing a game, and they got 2 free games against the Jets. Those 2 free games are now gone. They lost a ton in the offseason. They lost like massive amount of starters due to free agency because they have to pay. They're paying Waddle a zillion. They're paying Tyreek Hill a zillion, and now they're going to have to pay Tua a zillion. This is actually a team I don't love their long-term future. I think, again, obviously they're so reliant on Hill and Waddle, who are tremendous. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of this team long-term. I don't love this team's defense. I don't love the offensive line. And I think they're hanging on. If everything stays perfectly, I think 9.5 is the right number. But as we know in the NFL, that rarely happens.
Yeah, I would agree with you. This is one I actually like the over is Minnesota, 6.5.
Yeah, Anthony, I didn't bet this, but and this is, by the way, I'll make a prediction right now. This line I think may close at 7. So if you like the 6.5, Anthony, right now on Parks, I jump on it now. Look, this is a team, Anthony, that if they get any kind of quarterback play that's even just respectable, they should win 7 games. Tough division. But again, you look at the skill players are obviously, I don't know how much time Hawkinson's going to miss, but obviously Jefferson and Addison is incredible. I loved getting Aaron Jones. I think that's a massive, massive running back upgrade from what they had in the room last year from Alexander Madison. This is a team, Anthony. Again, they added who they get in the draft? They get Dallas Turner. They made the trade, I believe. Dallas Turner. Again, what they gave up in the future is not going to hurt for this, for the 2024 season. Yeah, I mean, only way I can look is over. If I had just now again, who's going to be quarterback? Is it going to be McCarthy? Is it going to be Sam Darnold? Either way, I guess you could argue it's a positive 2 guys, and if one guy's just decent, this team should definitely win 7 games.
Yeah, and listen, you could see McCarthy in that kind of offense. It fits him, right? Listen, and you got Jefferson to throw to, so the whole thing.
Good players, Anthony. This is a team that this team has good. This is a team. Look, this is not a bad team.
No, I agree.
Not a bad team.
That's why I look at the number and I go, the number seems light. I'm with you. I love that division, though. Now that division
I think you just said,
is the best in the NFL.
It's arguably, yeah. I mean, it's right there because all those teams are going to be tough. I agree with you. 100%.
The Patriots 4.5. Woo.
You're gonna hate me here. I actually did bet the over 4.5. I did. Just almost default. I'm almost going to take any team over 4.5 in the NFL just because it usually almost every team wins 5 games.
You're playing 17 games, so you're just going by math, right? Basically.
Yeah, I'm just look. Usually, Anthony, there's 1 or 2 teams every year that win 4 or less. So you say, okay, out of 32 teams, you have obviously every team they're worse theoretically than most of these teams. But look, here's the thing. To me, Anthony, last year Jones and Bailey to me was the worst quarterback combination in the NFL. I'm not saying that May and Jacoby Brissett is getting him to heaven, but what I am saying is it can't be worse than last year. It can't be. It's not possible. Everything just kind of really fell apart on that organization last year. The defense, they're going to get Christian Gonzalez back, their first-round pick.
Right.
If you remember correctly, Anthony was playing amazing at the beginning of the year before he got hurt. I don't love this. I just made it 5.5.
No, listen, it makes sense. That makes perfect sense. By the way, Belichick was in Croatia.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. Finally, we'll end on this one, and we'll pick the rest up later in the week. But we'll end with the Giants 6.5. That's an interesting number because that's low, and I think they deserve to be low. 6.5, and it's actually plus money on Parks if you go over.
Well, I'm not going. I bet the under. I actually bet the under. I did take the under. Well, listen, you can say, Anthony, look, this team did add Brian Burns. Okay, he's a good player. Look at you as following Carolina the way you have. I mean, I never thought he was a superstar. They're paying him like Aaron Donald kind of money. He's not that kind of player. He's a good player. He's been a good player, but is he great? No, they lose Saquon. Look, the quarterback situation to me, again, I fought like with my feet on the ground that Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. I fought it. Again, he had that 1 year where I guess
you're right on. And we've said it 100 times. To this day, I still don't even know how you go into it yet again with him.
Amazing. And again, my favorite saying in life, you choose either in life to be consistent or to be right. The Giants choose to be consistent time and time again with Daniel Jones. They don't choose to be right. This is our quarterback for the obviously getting neighbors will help, but only under is the only way I can look.
I like it. All right, listen, Big Brain, what do you got tonight?
Tonight, I got a couple things for you, Anthony. Eric Feedy, pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, over 4.5 strikeouts, minus 143. Cubs last 30 games, 7th easiest team in the league to strike out. Feedy's averaging about 1 strikeout per inning, projected to go about 6 innings. I thought this number should be closer to 5.5 to 6. Give me over 4.5. Was laying 143 juice. Not cheap, but I still thought it was worth it. And I'll give you 2 games I like, Anthony. Carlos Rodon's been pitching really, really well. Chris Paddock, to me, a below-average starter. Yankees, Anthony, have just been absolutely incredible hitting the baseball. You can lay right now on Parks, the 5-inning line, laying a half run, minus 129 with Rodon. Again, I'll take my chances. He's leading after 5 innings, and I don't want to have to lay close to 2-1, so I'll lay $1.29 there. And one other one, Anthony, Logan Gilbert, Seattle Mariners. usually don't take the Mariners laying a half run on the 5 inning line because of their impotent offense. But going against Joey Estes, who's given up 14 runs in 20 innings, Gilbert to me a stud, an elite pitcher. Plus, you're getting plus 106 on the Park site. I don't have to lay a big price, and I get plus 106 on this. I'll take my chances. Seattle's winning after 5 innings against a bad pitcher with an elite pitcher getting odds.
Love it. Love it. I like all three of those. At Brad's Best Bets,
Yes, sir.
bradsbestbets.com. You're the man, buddy. Thanks, Brain.
I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate it, buddy.
There he is, the Brain. All right, JP. Brain.
I love the Bill Belichick because soccer moment. He took a picture with the best Croatian player of all time.
Oh, really?
That was pretty cool.
You know that, huh?
I saw that. Yeah,
dude. You know your soccer.
It's how I got into this business. So
That's good.
I use it as best as I can.
Well, tell us a little about Alipop.
Yeah, well, first off, listen, I was in Acme yesterday picking up some stuff for dinner. Guys, I didn't notice some of these other flavors that Alipop has. Guys, they have for all my Barbie over Oppenheimer people, they have a Barbie peaches and cream flavor. This banana cream flavor honestly does intrigue me a little bit because I do love banana. That's one of my favorites. Ginger lemon, some new crisp apple, some new flavors here from Alipop. I bought a couple of them. I'm gonna wait till tonight to try one of them, but I'm gonna every night have one. Change things up for dinner a little bit. But guys, Alipop is my favorite. I'm gonna tell you why. Because listen, I still get the hankering for soda. Who doesn't? Like we sometimes want to be kids again and have a little root beer float or just a nice cold Coca-Cola over ice. That's where Alipop comes into play because you have the classic soda taste. But it has it's the world's first functional soda that has benefits of plant-based fiber, prebiotics, and other botanical ingredients that supports that gut health. And Alipop only has 2 to 5 grams of sugar with 9 grams of fiber. Guys, that's where the health nuts go crazy over. And then, of course, you can find it over 30,000 different retailers, including their most recent launch at Wawa, our favorite Wawa. But hey, you can still get it at Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite, and you can even get it delivered with GoPuff right at your front door. But listen, we got you guys with the promo code. If you use that promo code PHLY20, that will get you 20% off your next Alipop order. All right. However, this discount applies only to one-time orders, not to subscription orders. And Alipop is also sold online on their website, drinkalipop.com, or you can find it on Amazon as well. So, hey, for tonight, if you want to try some listen, those flavors have intrigued me. If they intrigue you as well for your next dinner, your next lunch, if you want to go crazy for your breakfast as well, consider checking out some of that Alipop.
You got it, man. All right, listen, we talked about the Bet Parks Sportsbook Casino app. How about Parks Casino, all right? Listen, all the fun, the entertainment that happens at Parks Casino, the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. This is how you win. Happy hour at the Liberty Bell Beer Garden with seating inside and outside. You got live entertainment at the 360 Lounge, all right? Dine at one of the award-winning restaurants, the Parks Grill Steakhouse, the Liberty Bell Gastropub, delicious sushi, hand rolls at Bamboo Noodle House. I mean, they got 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, all right? It's easy why it's our casino of choice. Parks Casino, all roads lead to Parks Casino. Headliners coming to the 1,500-seat Excite Center at Parks Casino. Debbie Gibson in July, JB Smoove September 20th. The acapella sounds of Straight No Chaser on October 18th. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino, this is how you win. All right. So we did Phillies. We did Birds. The finals start tomorrow. And I got a little bit of basketball itch because I cannot wait for the finals. I think Dallas is going to win. I want to talk about it because I have the itch to talk about it. And I have a panic over the Sixers. So who do I bring in but my dear friend, Devon Givens from the fabulous All PHLY Sixers show. Devon, I need
What's
you,
up,
brother.
man? What's going on, man? Yeah, no, listen, that's a long time to not have basketball from last week with those series ending pretty fast in both the conferences. So yeah, it'd be good to have basketball back. And this matchup is really intriguing because guess what? Nobody saw this coming.
I'm thrilled by it. I'm actually really into this matchup. I think Dallas is going to win. And
I hope so.
yeah. And I don't know if it's my heart leading it, but I actually think the matchup, and I was real interested to talk to you about this because I love what Dallas did at the deadline. And this is a lesson for Morey, right? What Dallas does at the deadline, getting PJ Washington and Gafford, right? Like big role players. And you look at how their bigs with Lively and Gafford have played because it's impossible to defend Luka and Kyrie. And so when you blitz them, the bigs just go to the rim. And that's why you just saw dunk after dunk.
Yeah, so when the deals went down and Dallas wasn't all that great, they were good. They weren't great. Of course, they were in the playoff mix. But when they got PJ Washington, I like the move just because, all right, I'm very curious to see him away from Charlotte. The Gafford piece on his second team, playing with Washington, they're going nowhere. But you already knew what Lively was doing as a young player. You needed that extra body. Even though Dwight Powell's been holding that spot down for years, it clearly wasn't good enough. And that's why he's relegated to the bench. Job well done, though, for all the years that he maximize his potential with that particular group. And now you have these two lob threats, number one, starting with Lively and Gafford. These two, and Irving and Doncic, as we talked about on the show, and they're two of the best lob throwers in the game. And when it comes to pick and roll and setting up certain plays and manipulating the defense, as the defense has to figure out whether they're going to drop in coverage, whether they're going to press up and try to take you away from driving a little bit more and keeping you out of lane and not allowing you to get your shot, that just opens up that possibility for that lob. And let's not forget about Derrick Jones Jr., who is a crazy athlete and can catch the lobs not only in transition, but also at half court the way that he does. But when you go to the PJ Washington piece to couple it with Gafford, and you didn't know how they would perform in the playoffs. And neither, Gafford not being there, I don't even know if he's been there at all. But in terms of PJ Washington, they had a play-in situation a few years ago, and that's it. And how are they going to perform? And they have done a decent to really good job in their spots, in their roles with this basketball team. It helps when you have the duo of Irving and Doncic again, but they have lived up to their roles and maybe even done a little bit more than anticipated to help lead this number 5 seed to the NBA Finals, where not many people felt like they had a chance going against the lineup that they had to go through to get to where they are right now. The Clippers, the Thunder, and then Minnesota to now represent the Western Conference in the finals.
Well, PJ played, against OKC was fantastic. I could see the same thing happen against Boston, where he didn't shoot really well against Minnesota, but I think he'll shoot better. He'll have cleaner looks. It's going to be really interesting how you guard Luka and Kyrie, how Boston guards them. The whole key to this thing, to me, has been Kyrie. Because Kyrie's saying, listen, I'm going to rewrite my epitaph, right? At 32 years old, I'm going to show you how great I am. And it's a shame because he drifted, and now that he's back focused, you realize how great a player he is.
Yeah, because you can lock in. It's funny following Brad. You can lock in Luka at the 30 every night. That's just what he's been doing in this postseason run. But to get what you've been getting from Kyrie Irving, and it looked like the old Kyrie Irving, where everyone talks about Kyrie Irving being a top 20, top 15 player in the league, all NBA, of course, when we're trying to put the guards together for all NBA, seeing where he fits on the first, second, or third team, that's the Kyrie Irving that you're getting right now. And for him to be doing this again and not having any of the off the court stuff that he was dealing with, focused on basketball, it seems like he has a good place. He's in a good place with his family, with his wife, his kids, his dad, everybody, everything is good in his life right now. And you're just seeing that translate to the basketball floor, even when he's having a tough shooting night, like he did against Minnesota in just one of those games through the 5. The presence is there. He has done enough damage through the first 2 rounds and then the first few games before he had that clunker where he's still Kyrie Irving, and you have to make sure that you check him and make sure everywhere he is on the floor, because if Luka's being double teamed or if Luka's getting that extra attention, then that Kyrie Irving is especially playing the way that he is right now, more than capable of carrying that team and getting the buckets. I mean, the way that he's still finishing over these big guys at the rim, where you just look at it and you say, all right, I know how great his layup package is, and I know what he can do. There's no way he's going to make that shot. And then it just drops softly without even touching the rim between the rim and the net, and 2 points right there, plus an and one at times. The guy is just phenomenal. He's a master. He's a wizard with the basketball. His finishing ability at the rim is crazy. He's shooting really, really well. And you're right. It's really taken this next step from a team that was not in the playoffs. They were in the lottery. They got fined for tanking at the end of the season because of that reason. And here they are now in the NBA Finals. And you also have to give credit to it when you talk about Daryl Morey and what he's done. We're talking about a head Nike executive and Nico Harrison taking over at the GM spot and turning his team into an NBA Finals participant.
Well, and the other thing about Kyrie, it's not easy to play next to Luka, right? Like,
No,
especially when like you have to almost take that back seat and play off of him, right? Like your whole game has to be playing off of him, and that's where I've been like super impressed by him in that he's played perfectly as an accent to him, and where he allows Luka to be himself and dominate the ball and do everything, and then he fulfills his role. Like it's such like to me. I'm most impressed about how he's adapted to playing with Luka.
No, it really is. Yeah, because when it first happened, I was curious. When the trade went down at the deadline, two trade deadlines ago, I was very curious. What do they see? I don't see it. What do they see? Of course, they're two talented guys, but how do they mesh? How do they coexist
Yeah.
in this offense? And again, sometimes we saw them play, sometimes we didn't. There was some injury stuff. We saw it ourselves, where the Sixers played them that first time together, where each of them had that 30 plus, and that was the reason why they won the game. Nobody else did anything. Those two guys had 30 plus. They went off on the Sixers. Again, they missed the postseason. So what are they going to do in the offseason? All the buzz was Kyrie was going to go to Los Angeles to team back up with LeBron James. They signed him to a 3-year extension, over $140 million, and sitting there again, scratching my head. We saw a small sample size. How did they know this is going to work? They were right. And it works. And it works because he bought in and he figured out how to play with Luka. Luka figured out how to play with him. And they surrounded them with just role players. Moving Grant Williams, that was a big part of it in that PJ Washington deal. Getting whatever that was out of the locker room that doesn't work. Same thing on the floor. And you bring in pieces that fit much better. Now you got to hit like they did with Derek Jones Jr. on the minimum contract. That worked.
Yeah.
And then making the deals later on at the deadline with Washington and Gafford, those things worked. And you had to have some other things work out in your favor in this path to get there. But they did beat those teams head to head, straight up. LA, Clippers, taking down the Oklahoma City Thunder in 7, and now the Minnesota Timberwolves, where they were not projected to win that series. They've done a fantastic job. And I don't think they're going to lay down and just accept the fact that they are there. As you just said, you feel like they're going to win the series.
Well, listen, Boston's 2-1 favorite, so obviously prohibitive.
Mm-hmm.
Is this it for Tatum? Is this the defining moment? And again, it's always going to be about Tatum and not as much Jalen. I mean, this feels like, all right, Giannis did it. Like when he was pushed and it was like do or die, he did it. Is this the moment for Tatum?
I believe so. And look, give him credit too, because he always says it. We've been to the conference finals however many times they've been there. He's been in the league for 7 seasons, and he's been to the conference finals maybe 4 or 5 times already. And he said, I've done this before. We've been here. We've done that. Now, they're not accepting of that as a fan base, and we are not accepting of that. I'm not accepting of that as a player. It's time to win the NBA championship. So I agree with you that this is a big spot for Jason Tatum right now. He's had a really good postseason run. They've had a really good pathway to the NBA Finals. They've done their job. They haven't slipped up at all. Maybe drop a game here, drop a game there on the way to this matchup against Dallas. But yeah, Anthony, I mean, the guy's an all NBA first teamer. He's an all-star, and this is your basketball team, right? So now this is your time to get them over the hump, get them past that spot. and win this NBA championship. You've been there a few times now. It's time to get it done if you are Jason Tatum leading the Boston Celtics.
So how do you see it?
I see
Well,
Boston in 7.
Boston in 7.
Boston in 7. Yeah, Boston in 7. I see this as a really good matchup. There are a lot of defenders on both sides that are going to cause problems for each. The coaching is going to be really important with Missoula and Kidd, two guys that have some flaws in their coaching where people have attacked them for things that they do on the floor with some of the decisions that they make. But in the end, we know that the players are going to bail or make sure that things play out the way that they do. There are going to be some coaching things that we look at back at and say, hey, good job by coach from Dallas or coach from Boston. But in this one, it's really going to be the players. I do see where how much of the defense, I'm very curious to see from White and Drew Holiday, even Jalen Brown and Tatum, of how they check Luka and Kyrie. How is that going to work out? And then on the other side, where you have that length from Washington to Derrick Jones Jr., how are they going to now match up on the other side defending both Tatum and Brown? I'm very curious to see what the defensive matchups are going to be in these two teams. So I do like Boston in this one. I always lean Philadelphia when there's no Sixer situation where we have to pay attention that way. So as a rookie and as a Philadelphia native, Westtown, we played there, Westtown, Derek Lively. I'm rooting for Derek Lively as a rookie, of course, with Dallas to see if he can get it done. I love Drew Holiday, though, on the other side. That's the other sad part, because I do love Drew Holiday.
All right, so I got to ask you, what's the lesson of this, right? Because soon the finals will be over, and it's going to get real around here. Daryl will have to, he'll have Tyrese and Joel, and it's like, all right, how do we fill this roster? So what's the lesson of the Mavericks?
To build the best possible team around your 2 stars, 3 through 7. And if you want to extend it to 8, 3 through 8. I think that's the lesson, because when you go from Tatum and Brown, let's start with Boston, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, right? That's 4 guys right there that we look at and we say, okay, those guys can play. Peyton Pritchard, a young player that is now playing in this rotation in the postseason, giving you really good minutes, hitting some shots. Sam Hauser also maybe knocking down some shots here from time to time in a big spot for this basketball team. Then you go to Dallas, and we just laid out all of their players that have given them good minutes, have given them good production on the floor in their roles that they have accepted. And that's the other key. You have to accept your role coming in here, knowing that you're going to be playing behind Embiid and Maxey. So if it's Paul George, as good as Paul George is, still is an all-NBA level player, an all-star at least this past season, yes, he's going to come in here and he's going to get a big contract should they sign him and he agrees to come to Philadelphia. But we know it's Embiid's team. There's a role there between Maxey and George to see who can do it. Guess what? You can have one night, I'll have it the other night. We can take turns in this and have that work out. But then it's what happens 4 through 7, as we just laid out, from Jones Jr. to Gafford, Lively, PJ Washington, getting Dante Exum minutes, Josh Green playing some decent minutes for the Dallas Mavericks. So it's for Daryl Morey and the Sixers, it's 3 through 7 or 8. And those role players coming in, fitting Embiid and Maxey going forward and knowing who they are in this whole thing here in Philadelphia.
So it's interesting because I was talking to somebody about the Paul George situation, and they go, here's a guy that you really would worry about, come playoff time. It's the same thing. Like you almost, it's the Jimmy and Paul George are so interesting, right? Because Jimmy's your money guy, but what happens during the regular season? Like, can you count on him to play? How many games you're going to play? You already got to deal with that with Joe, right? You don't know how many games Joe's going to play. So the regular season becomes a bit of a conundrum, and then you're just all in on the playoffs. Paul George, you don't know about those moments in the playoffs that he's going to have to step up with Joel and Tyrese. So like both of them are kind of like on the flip side, and they come with their own worries.
And not just those two, Ant. When you look at the rest of the names that we've discussed, from Brandon Ingram to so many other ones that we've discussed, even OG Anunoby when we talked about him, there are issues with everyone, whether it's the age and injury with Jimmy Butler and Paul George, it's the questions of uh, focus with Brandon Ingram. Can he fit with his stylistic play with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey? OG Anunoby with the health concerns, even though the two-way ability is phenomenal because his defense is so exceptional. On and on and on. There seems to be the idea of them is perfect, but then there are these warts with everyone. And when you speak about Paul George and who you've spoken with, you're absolutely right, because we know that the jokes about the playoff peace stuff when he was in Indiana, he's had some really good moments in Indiana when there was really no pressure because they were trying to get past LeBron James and the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to when he gets to OKC, he did have a phenomenal playoff run where he was an MVP candidate that season, teaming up with Russell Westbrook. He goes to Los Angeles, and we know the big to do about he and Doc Rivers and Kawhi Leonard and all of that, and that didn't work out. He did have, and you mentioned the Bucks run, and I've talked about this on the show when Phoenix at the time that 2021 Western Conference Finals, I was out there for a game, and it was Game 5. I know it was because they lost, and he and Reggie Jackson are destroying the Suns. And I'm like, why won't these guys just go away? Well, it was because of Paul George. Kawhi Leonard wasn't playing. It was because of Paul George, Reggie Jackson elevating his game. But Paul George was that good in the postseason. But more times than not, it's been a failure. And that's a big part of it. You know that the Sixers, without Paul George, as long as Embiid and Maxey are teaming up and they have the right supporting cast around them, 50 games is locked in. That's the standard for this team now at this point. Second round before this year was the standard for this basketball team. You're not looking for that third guy to make sure that they elevate past that. And is he the one that's going to do that? And the questions are fair because of his past history in the postseason. So if and when he does sign here, if that is the case, or whomever does sign here, can they help Embiid and Maxey get past that part, and then of course to the NBA Finals, because we're all used to what we are accustomed to, which is the 50 and then the second round. It's now time for them to get past that. Can he do that if he is to join this team?
Well, it's funny. It's why, and again, I don't know what his status is, and it's Danny Ainge, so you always have to be careful. But it's why I would love to trade for marketing. I just think marketing is the perfect fit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no one's going to disagree with you, but the cost is going to be heavy, and Danny Ainge is going to hold your feet to the fire because he can.
Okay,
right?
so what? So let's go for it. How many picks? 4?
He's gonna first he's gonna ask for 5.
Right. And I'm not going
What
to give
you're
him
gonna
5.
probably
4.
and then he's gonna hang up the phone, and you say 4. Let's have a conversation, but it's probably still going to be too. It might still be too rich if giving up that 4 because he is on such a good contract. Because he is going to be in demand not only with you but others. If they get wind of the fact that you're talking, then somebody else is, and guess what? That 4 that you talk about is going to bump right back up to 5 because there may be that team that's willing to do it. Where maybe Daryl Morey may not
Would
be.
you do it?
Would I do it? I would do 4, 5. No, 5. No.
At what point do you go, you know what? I have to win. And he's going to give me the best. And by the way, I got him. He's still relatively young. So
Sure.
It's not like, it's a player that I'm going to get and I'm going to be good because I have Maxey and I have him.
Mm-hmm. And the 4, the reason I say 4 or 5, right? We all say that's a perfect fit. Because there's always that possibility, Ant, that he could always go back to that Chicago, Cleveland, Lowry marketing.
Yeah.
If does he have that out of his system? Is he now this where he's going to be a perennial all-star? He's always going to be in the conversation of being an all NBA player. He's playing on a team that is not geared to win right now. Can he come here and be that player, to your point, help them win and do so by not reverting back to that player that got him traded to Utah and on his third team in the first place?
All right, last thing. Is there a player or 2 role players that you're looking at that you got circled that you think would be perfect here?
Yeah, this is fun because now you can you can direct people back to one of our old episodes where we talked about just this, which is one was DeAndre Hunter for me, another local
Yeah.
kid, plays for the Atlanta Hawks. He signed a 4-year, $80+ million contract. Year one is in the books, I believe. So now he's on the second year. So contract is decent. 6'8", average about 16 point shot, over 35% from three. Just needs to get out of that toxic situation that Atlanta is in. And I think that's the case for maybe a few players there. So he's one that I've looked at, that we've talked about on the show. And as far as another one, right off the top of my head, as I'm trying to just go back and think again about some of the names that we did speak of that are role players that you can just bring in, not just trades, but free
Well, Hunter's
agency.
interesting. I like him. And I liked him.
I do too.
He can score the ball a little bit. You know, he would be a good rotational guy.
Yeah, versatile defender at that 6'8" size. He can move, he can defend. And again, man, you don't know how that stuff. We've seen it plenty of times where guys just get out PJ Washington out of a bad situation
Yeah.
and maybe getting into a much better opportunity where they just thrive in that role. I don't know about playing at home. I don't know if he has the desire to do that and how he would handle that. I have no clue. But if we're just talking as you asked, that player, I would like that player as a role player, maybe buy low, to your point, of
Yeah.
coming in and still being able to help out. Um, as far as another player that I would maybe like as a role guy, um, I've I also threw another one just for fun, and Anthony Simons out in Portland.
Portland.
I
Yeah.
like him. Small, so the backcourt again would still be small with Maxey, and as we discussed it, maybe he's in a better role being a six man, a super six man. But he's a player that I know that can fill it up, and he signed a 4-year, $100 million deal a couple of years ago. Portland is still not going anywhere, and they have again good draft picks. They have Scoot Henderson that they're maybe trying to build around, and if that's the case, do they move Simons? Do they move on from Simons if they're unable to unload Jeremy Grant if he wants out? So Simons was another one that I did bring up. Smaller guy. I understand the backcourt situations, but the scoring ability, if you put him in that six-man role, yes, the price tag would be high, but a guy that I would be willing to say, yeah, come off the bench and just fire it up, kid.
It's going to be interesting, but I can't wait for it. Like, the summer is going to be an interesting, besides the Phillies, right, which is every night. The summer is going to be really interesting because you're putting together a whole team.
Yeah, you have 4 players on your team right now. Yes.
Yeah. It's wild.
You have to build out an entire roster. Yeah,
I know. It's going to be wild. It's going to be pretty cool. You're the best, my brother. What time for you guys today?
2:30 today. Yep,
2:30
today, Thursday and Friday as well. Some great stuff today. I think a lot of people will like it. I think you'll like this conversation today that we've already spoken about. And then Thursday and Friday as well.
Love it. Love it. You guys are killing it. Love it, buddy. Thank you, brother. The great Devon Givens, my main man, the all PHLY Sixers show.
The best.
Yeah, love it.
Love those guys.
Yep. All right, coming up, the clubhouse. VG will be remote today
VG.
because he's not feeling well.
He's not feeling too well. He might need some Rite Aid, cuz.
Yeah, that's right.
A little Rite Aid.
Who do you got for us?
All right, real quick, guys. I want to talk to you about Shady Rays, all right? Because listen, it's summertime, right? We're all going outside. We're all enjoying the sun, but you want to make sure you're protecting those eyes, all right? And look, I just checked the website right now. So like I'm always in the market for new sunglasses. Let's be real, all right? I'm loving these new Talon models here that they have. Talon, Talon. I've been looking for something similar to this with the sunglass company that I typically buy from, but now that Shady Rays has it, I'm all in. But they have a wide range of different frames and different styles that you may like. So you guys need to check out Shady Rays right now. And some of the best parts about Shady Rays is that, look, I love sunglasses. They are a little expensive, right? But the best part about Shady Rays is that they have the quality that some of these other companies have, but you're not breaking the bank. And that's the best part about it. And of course, we all been there. We breaking our sunglasses. We've lost it in the water or whatnot. Shady Rays, what they'll do is they'll replace those sunglasses if you happen to break them or you lose them. And that's the Shady Ray difference that we're talking about, guys. And over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars. So don't just take it from me. Take it from over the 300,000 people that are rating these sunglasses as well. So here's what we got here for you guys here today. With the promo code PHLY, For our listeners exclusively, you'll get 35% off polarized sunglasses. Guys, that's a great deal. 35% off these polarized sunglasses. You absolutely cannot beat that. So for this summer, consider Shady Rays for some of your summer needs, protecting those eyeballs. And of course, guys, real quick, it is exactly 10:30 in the morning here on the Anthony Gargano Show. I want to take a quick second and thank everyone for tuning on in. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe for future Anthony Gargano shows. Once you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button because it'll tell you exactly when we are live on the YouTube channel. And then, of course, guys, make sure you guys are subscribing podcasts. If you guys could leave a rating, we would really appreciate that as well. Find us wherever you stream podcasts. That would truly help us as well. Here's what's on the docket here at PHLY Sports. After us at 1 o'clock, we have PHLY Flyers. At 2:30, PHLY Sixers, like Devon just mentioned, will be live. At 3:30, PHLY Eagles will go live. And then tonight, following the Phillies series finale against the Brewers, our PHLY Phillies team will be live for the post-game show. Speaking of PHLY Phillies, we all know what this weekend is. It's the London series, guys. So listen, I know a lot of us are going to London, which I'm honestly a little bit jealous, not gonna lie. But if you're going to be in the area, consider hanging out with PHLY Phillies and everyone here at the PHLY family. We have not one, but 2 watch parties here. All right. Gall & Co. Fantastic bar that we have here. We have 2 separate locations. On Saturday, we will be at the Rockledge location. On Sunday, we'll be in the Port Richmond location. We have Miller Lite specials. We're giving away tickets. We're going to have some merch there as well. There's some fantastic food too. And of course, you get to hang out with Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli, John Foley. So it'll be a lot of fun. Head on over to allphly.com/events. All the information's on there. But listen, I'll even be there. Andrew Frazier will be there at the Port Richmond one as well. So guys, come hang out. Let's go Fightins.
I like it.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Fightins.
That'll be fun. It's a good time. It
Brunch,
really is a
brunch
good
with
time.
the bro.
Yes. This portion of the program brought to you by Rite Aid. Stop in your neighborhood Rite Aid. I think VG.
Look at him.
Did you stop and see Marge at the Rite Aid on 10th Street?
You know it, man. I went over, saw March with some Gatorades this morning. Got to hydrate.
There you go. I like the hat, VJ.
Got this last night. Yo, I told you
Ooh.
before, the clearance section at the ballpark. I was looking at this like 2 weeks ago. 50% off last night at the clearance section. $29.95.
I'm going
Love
to
it.
hit that up.
Wait, so that's
I'm going to have the.
Wait, time out.
What's
So
that?
that's a $60 hat?
It was 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God. $60 hat.
I won't go
That's
60.
a beautiful hat. But I would
Hey,
have to wait until the clearance. I agree.
Yeah.
I give a shout out to all the big boys out there. There's about 60 2X Bryce Harper powder blue jerseys upstairs at the clearance, half price. Tons of XXLs.
Really?
Yeah, so I was looking for an XL. I was going to grab it, but no luck.
A Bryce powder blue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't beat it. Half
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
That is a good. You do great scouting work of merch.
Good
Yeah.
shopper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
he
are a
is a
good
good
shopper.
shopper.
You got to be frugal. The way PHLY pays, you got to be frugal.
You got that right. I hear you, my brother. I hear you. By the way, Eddie Wright says this, and he's spot on. We got to stay away from Paul George. Paul George is hoping to have his jersey retired by the Pacers, he said. What?
So random.
Yes.
It's been like almost a decade since he played
He
Indiana,
said,
right?
I'll be the first guy to be booed during his jersey retirement. I want nothing to do with Paul George. I really don't.
No, I'm out on that.
I'm afraid of him. I'm afraid
Yeah,
he's like, we've had enough of these dudes, man.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we're trying to convince ourselves in on Paul George, but Devon is spot on. You need role players. You don't need a third star. You need to fill out this roster with players who are going to rebound, knock down some big shots, and play a little defense too.
Well, that's the lesson of Dallas.
Yeah,
The lesson of the Mavericks is that. Yeah, I think you need somebody else who can score, right? That third spot who's a flat out. He doesn't have to be a star,
Right.
but you need somebody else who can score.
Yeah, I think we'll get snake bitten if we go for a Jimmy Butler, if we go for a Paul George.
I hear you. I
think
have the same fear,
It's a lot of
man.
money or a lot of
I'm afraid
assets.
we've had this PTSD. We get this guy.
I know.
He's not going to perform. I think we just get really solid role players like y'all are saying. I think that is the approach that we take.
But how do you find those role players? And that's a tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough to find some of those guys because, you know, a lot of that. I mean, look at what Dallas did. That was all deadline stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we were able to get rid of Grant Williams, which was big. You'd be able to bring in some of those pieces from Charlotte, but it's tough to find those role players. I mean, even like the Knicks, like they drafted a lot of those guys. They, you know, you were able to get a Dante DiVincenzo or a Josh Hart, but it is hard to find those role players. We haven't been able to do that the past 5 years.
Yep.
So hard.
Paul George feels like a flea guy. He's not really a flea guy, but he feels like a flea guy.
He does feel like a flea
him.
guy.
Oh, yeah.
He does. I agree. He may be a flea guy. I don't know, but
It doesn't seem like it, but it feels like it.
Feels like it. I agree, and and I'm scared. The last thing you need. This is it, and I'm not looking to roll the dice on flea guys.
Yeah,
we're shooting our shot here. This is it.
Speaking of fleas, Uncle Frank checking in, and he said that he sent this story over about how there's going to be a spider invasion.
Oh, this is in my nugs. Yeah.
Is it? Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's do it. VG's nugs.
We got the cicada orgy happening. It's like the apocalypse of the cicadas is happening.
Oh God.
So now there's these Joro spiders.
Yeah.
They're coming up from the south.
Was talking about them.
Yeah, they fly. They're venomous. They fly. They got like 4-inch legs. They're crazy.
Oh my God.
That is hell.
So like their venom can't really hurt humans, but it kills insects. What they do is they throw these little like threads of silk out into the air, and it just catches in the wind. So it looks like they're actually flying. The wind catches almost like a sail. But yeah, they're supposed to come up to the Northeast this summer and invade
They're
us.
huge. Look at those things.
Oh God.
4-inch legs.
Oh my God. Julie is losing it.
Julie's about to.
Wait, I was hearing stories about these things. They like traveling like it looks like a giant cloud in the sky, and they fly around. And I don't know. It was like in another country. I was seeing videos of it, and it's like apocalyptic.
We're talking about this. I can feel my skin crawl.
I know. Oh my God.
I hate spiders.
That's horrible.
Yeah, 4-inch legs. I'm out.
Yeah. That reminds me, when we were kids, VG, you and I, since we're the resident old heads, do you remember the killer bees? So we were kids, right? The news, never forget, I'm being afraid that there were these swarms of killer bees that were going to migrate up from Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going to migrate up and they were supposedly poisonous. And all you kept thinking about is, oh my God, I want to get stung by one of these killer bees.
Done.
I'm surprised you even cared because I have anxiety. I was paranoid. I was scared to death. I figured you'd just be out swatting them around.
Looking like Bryce Harper out
Listen,
there.
I'm 10 years old. I'm worried about the killer bees.
Well, during COVID, do you remember there was stories coming out about the murder hornet? That was
the murder hornet.
Oh, yeah.
And it was they were coming across the country, and they're as long as your hand. And oh man, that's forget about it.
Yes.
Bugs. Hate 'em.
Yeah, I'm anti-bugs too. I'm with you.
Uncle Frank's on it. Hey, your boy Nick is in mid-season form yesterday. Oh, Nicky Sirianni with his crazy press conferences. You hear him talking about James Bradbury making the move to safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he compares him to Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we've seen Charles Woodson do it, so James Bradbury, I mean, it should work out. I mean, get the hell out of here.
He loves to hype people up, man.
All right, but it's his guy. That's what he does.
Come on.
Your own players.
Don't talk to us like that.
Yeah, but it's his own players, man.
But Bradbury knows he's not Charles Woodson. Come on. We all know that. Get out of here.
He probably felt good about it, though.
Listen, every once in a while, you flub on a comp. And that was I agree. That's a bad comp.
Bradbury felt warm.
But every once in a while, I mean, listen, the thing I like about Sirianni is he's exuberant.
Yeah, he's just over the. I mean, I feel like he's talking down to the fans at that point. Like, come on, we're smarter than that. You got an 8-time All-Pro guy. He's saying made the transition, so Bradbury should be able to.
You take it like he's talking down. I don't take it like he's. I take it more like he's exaggerating.
I just think he's trying to build confidence in Bradbury right now. Obviously, the year that he came off, there's been rumors and rumbling. So he's just like, no, that's my guy. It's my Charles Woodson.
That's what you got to do. If you're the head
now he's
coach,
got to live up to the Charles Woodson
you gotta
comps.
have your guys back. You got to have your guys back. You're the head coach.
There's having your back, but I mean, he's fluffing them a little bit there. Jeepers creepers.
Yeah. It was a little extra fluff. I will agree.
All right.
Yeah.
I know having his back. I get to have his back.
I agree. All right. Invoking Woodson is a bad comp.
Well, Bradbury also has a pattern, right? It feels like every other year he has a good year. So maybe this year is going to be his good year because 2022, he was pretty solid.
Is he in a contract year? I think he's got 2 years left on his contract, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. We got to wait for next year for him to play well.
If he's here.
Yeah. Last night was good. We booed Reese in the ninth. Reese got booed as he came up to bat. He got booed when he got cheered when he struck out. It's a nice night. And I don't know if we can play with the audio. I have some video from as Nick hit the walk-off from down at the ballpark.
All right, so I got to ask you. I talked about this to start the show, and I really need to get to find out a reason. So, how come last year it wasn't like this? It was like this during the run 2 years ago, which came out of nowhere. But really, since the beginning of this season, we've had this amazing, display every night, right? Where it feels like the playoffs. Now, obviously they're good, and obviously you love the team. There's a kinship between the fan base and the players. But baseball, and as someone who covered it for a long time, it's never been like this in anywhere in the history of the game. Do they come every night and treat April, May, June baseball like it's playoffs?
I think part of it is, there is that stupid song that we all like. So formed kind of a bond with this team. And I feel like subconsciously maybe the fans are aware, national pundits are aware that the Phillies are on a mission. They don't like the way last year ended. And they are focused, laser focused this year from spring training on. And it's almost like the fans have synced up with that and been like, yo, we got you. This is a mission. We'll come out every night with you guys and fight and give you the energy you need. It's almost playoff. I feel like they're playing like it's playoff every game. The fans are bringing it like it's playoffs every game. I mean, they don't take a game off. I mean, knock on wood, but they're in every game. I don't know the last time they got blown out.
Real quick, from last night, from KYW News Radio, 40,632 for last night's game in the attendance.
On Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's wild.
But it's less even the attendance and more the reaction of the people.
It's like every pitch, the whole game, just like the playoffs.
I mean, you're down there, and baseball's not a sport that's consumed like this.
Mm-mm.
I mean, a million games that you've been down that you watch, right? Like, you never see this. This is so unique. It's such a great story.
Last night was probably my 9th or 10th game this year, and every time we go down, it's impressive. We're blown away every time. It's just like the first time we're seeing it.
I mean, you want to talk about the summer of love?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
summer love.
I mean, this is what it is. It's so unique. I'm captivated by it. I have to be honest with you. I like every day. It feels like a page in a novel, and every day is this new page that happens with the story.
And then you skim a chapter. The Taiwan Walker chapter every 5 or 6 chapters. You just skim through real quick. Catch the end, maybe.
What else you got?
Corey Seidman put out a stat about these bullpen stats, and Alvarado since March 31st, 1.40 ERA. Strom, 25 straight with no runs. Hoffman, 1.01 ERA. Kierkering, 1.27 ERA. Seranthony, 7 scoreless. I mean, the guys are just dealing right now.
Yeah, I mean, their pitching is absurd.
And we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, they haven't even hit, right? Like, they haven't even hit like they're capable of hitting, right? You forget that Turner's been out. You forget now that Marsh has been out, right? Mm-hmm. And all they do is go out and they're pitching darts. They're throwing darts out there. Well, like, you brought up to me, we were talking about Sanchez and Sanchez's WAR when it comes to, his WAR is 1. Yamamoto's WAR, like you said, is 0.90.
It's wild.
It's insane.
We're talking about Christopher Sanchez competing and having as good as yours, Yamamoto. What the hell's going on? It makes no sense.
Seriously.
Like, he's going out and giving you 7. Right? Like,
it's your fourth starter.
And they're good. Like he's not like Nicholas. They're good innings he's throwing.
Oh,
I don't get it, man.
Sir Anthony going 7 scoreless. I remember last year seeing him come up and my stomach would flip because it was like, oh man, something's going to happen because he didn't have it. Yeah. And to see him getting back into this form like he was that World Series year, there's something magical going on. There really is with every single person in this clubhouse, every player. There is something it's a spectacle.
And it wasn't,
it is.
And it wasn't shown on that graphic, but Matt Strahm as well has been absolutely ridiculous too in that bullpen as well.
Yeah, 25 straight with no runs. Did you see him at the end when he got out of that inning? He's like, let's bleep it go. He's like super fired up. Like it's game 6.
I
with
know.
That Jesus hair, man.
It's wild, man.
Joe Dirt Stromboli. He's the best.
Yeah, we got a late addition to the Nugs. I drive Andrew crazy with these one, but Dina Driscoll tweeted this out. Someone saw this over in London, I think. And this is worse than pineapple going with pizza. Okay. This is a shirt they're selling over there with both Phillies and Mets logos on it. It's like a golf shirt. It is
ugly.
Oh, no.
Total violation.
No.
Total violation.
No.
That's what you lock up in the basement.
I'm not going to lie, the caption's kind of funny, too.
Yeah. Yeah, Dino with a good caption.
That's bad, man. Come on.
It's like an ugly colored shirt, cream colored with some off gold Phillies and Mets logos.
Yeah.
Do they want us to do a Tottenham and Arsenal a shirt over here? Like that's
right.
a comparison right there.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
You would think they understand that.
They'll burn that shirt.
Like they don't understand that. Yeah. Like the Phillies Mets. They got to get that.
Yeah. Speaking of ugly, I just saw on First Take the beard, James Harden. He says he wants to be remembered as a winner. That's the quote they had from him. Well, look at him with no beard. Look at him with no beard. He's like Beetlejuice.
Looks like a toe.
Oh my God, look at that.
I wonder what he would look like now without the beard.
That's awesome.
His face has obviously got a little more rounder.
Dude, his head might be smaller than mine. That's wild.
Talk about a couple of pins. My
yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah,
that's good. That's hysterical.
Crazy looking.
All right.
Cameron Brink. You all know Cameron Brink?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm a big fan. She was hanging out with Kevin Hart.
Oh,
and
man.
she's 6'4".
So funny,
yeah. That's awesome.
Not even up to her shoulders.
Yeah. He's not even up to her armpits.
She's probably like laughing inside taking this picture.
Oh, that's great.
Wow. The Oilers girl from the other night, everyone's seen the Oilers girl.
Oh, yeah.
Who flashed her assets. She's been offered, obviously, tons of porn gigs now. The porn dude says that her assets were made for porn. He's offered her a bunch of money.
Oh,
and
my God.
CamSoda.com, I guess it's a cam site. They're offering $100,000 to do a cam show and recreate the moment she had in the stands.
It's the greatest. It's world's outrageous.
It's crazy, right?
It really is. It's
You Oiler fans are wild, VJ.
Yeah.
You guys know the Marudo tribe?
No.
They're an Amazonian tribe that just got connected to the internet through Elon Musk's Starlink. The elders are upset because the young people now are lazy and they're obsessed with porn. Who's would have thunk it?
Dude, you sent that to me. I laughed out loud.
Yeah, they're saying the kids just sit around their phone all day now. They're trying to limit the amount of times they have access to the internet. And this is a chased tribe. They're chased with access to porn now.
Good luck, man.
Yeah,
Good
right.
luck.
The tribe is done.
Oh, man. That's terrible.
I got one more you'll dig. I think your kids will dig it. So these two brothers, Liam and Jessen, 7 and 10, and their cousin Caden, they're out in the Badlands in North Dakota, and they find a T-Rex bone sticking out of the ground.
What?
Wow.
They send it to a paleontologist, a picture of it, and 11 months later, they're a part of the excavation site. It's now a part of a Discovery documentary, and they say it's going to change the whole world, the way they understand T-Rexes at this
10
point.
years old. There you
Look
go.
at that.
Oh, that's awesome. My Anthony loves that.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, it's a 67-million-year-old T-Rex, like shin bone.
Wow.
So it was coming out of the ground?
Yeah, they noticed it sticking out of the ground, dug a little bit, took a picture, sent it off to some paleontologists, and they're like, yo, this is like for real. And they let the
Get
kids be
out
part
of
of the
here.
excavation. Yeah.
Child's
That's
curiosity,
very
man.
cool. Send me that story, VG, so I can send it to my Anthony. That's his.
I will.
Awesome.
He loves it. He wants to be a paleontologist.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yep.
All right, time for the best and worst of the evening. All right, we'll start off with the best, JP.
All right, so I stumbled upon Aiden Laporta is a really good Sixers follow if you guys aren't following him on Twitter, but he put up. So, Cuz, I want to ask you, from the 01 team to the 2017 Sixers team, what do you think was the best roster in that dredge of just bad years? If you give me 1 year, what would it be?
I guess it would be the post. And again, this is post Iverson, right?
Yeah, let's go 2002 season to the 2017 season.
I guess it would have to be the Iguodala year when they make the run and they beat the Bulls and they lose to the Celtics, right? So what's that, 28?
2011. Yeah, that
2011.
So he put up the 2010 roster, and I was just so in awe, like looking at this.
Drew
and then,
Holiday's on that roster,
so
right? Like,
you had Drew Holiday, Allen Iverson came back for like half a season.
right.
Elton Brand was on that team, and then I found this picture as well. This is the firehouse on the corner of 20. It's still there, 21st and Market there. And just looking at this roster, and like to me, this.
Who else you got? What's the other part of the roster?
Lou Williams was on that team. You had
Lou Williams, that's right, Lou
Spencer
Williams.
Hawes, Thaddeus Young, Maurice Spates. You had Andres Nocioni on that team as well. Iguodala was on that team as well. I think this was the best roster. Unfortunately, they ran into that Miami Heat team.
Yes.
And they lost in 5 there. But I thought it was a good going back down memory lane, looking at that team and just remembering that, we're Sixers fans
That's
and we're
interesting.
still
That's very
paid.
cool. No. In 2010, you're right. Drew Holiday and Lou Williams. Think about how good those guys.
Yeah.
And how Drew Holiday's still playing.
Yeah.
He's still playing well.
Might win a second ring, too.
It's and
And
he's turned into a really good defender.
He started the process, essentially. That's
I
great.
know. I know.
I remember that draft night thinking, what is Sam Hinkie doing? And now I guess I know.
What's
The
what's your
battalion
best?
chief looked like the battalion chief in that picture. He might have been heightening with some lifts. I mean, Papa VG is like 5'6.5", 5'7", barely got the fire department. You see that battalion chief looked like he was pushing like 5'4" compared to those guys.
I know you appreciate that picture, BJ.
Yeah, man. My best was JT, man. Just ridiculous last night. That game, can't ask for much more out of a catcher defensively.
Dude,
That's so
you
funny.
get hit, right? And we all
Right
know
on
that.
it.
We all know that feeling. All right.
Yeah.
It is the worst, right? The best, he goes, there's nothing a bucket of ice can't cure.
Ha!
But
And did they show-
how about he makes the play? What a great play he made.
Did they show after he got hit in the junk, like the ball got played into the field, but like he was hunched over? Did they show
Yeah.
that on the broadcast? Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
he
that
not
was
feeling
nasty.
good. Yeah.
All right, worst.
So that was honestly my worst because of the pain he went through. We actually have some videos from both of those plays.
Oh, nice.
The JT. Oh man, this is the one where he gets hit right in the real Mutos.
Yes.
Ah,
Oh my
Oh,
God. Oh,
Yikes.
God.
And
That's the worst. It's just the worst
Ow.
feeling.
Yeah.
No, that's when you need the cup, Andrew.
Yeah. I was going to say, you guys are all about the junk today.
Yeah, well,
that's like there's that initial.
We all
I
went,
know.
oh, we know that feeling. In fact, you get that sympathy pain.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Everyone does the sympathy like bend over, like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
listen,
that's we've all been there. You get hit with that initial one, and it's like, ow. And then it's like, a few seconds later, it really kicks in. And you're like, whoa.
And then it's just like an overwhelming. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Goes right to the stomach.
Yes.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah. Every muscle just cringes up. You're like, oh.
Yeah,
It's
terrible.
the worst. Oh,
so
my God.
Listen, just to give something for worse, I guess I got to go with It looks like JJ Redick might be the coach of the Lakers there.
Yeah.
My only beef with that is that there's assistants right now, like Sam Cassell. Like I would have loved having Sam Cassell as the head coach, but like there's assistants out there that are deserving of the job. And JJ's been running this podcast for a couple of years. Did the pod with LeBron James, and now boom, head coach of the Lakers. That's probably my worst if I had to pick one, other than JT's Real Muto's.
I don't know how that's good. I don't know how that happens, right?
It's so weird.
Like, obviously, he knows the game inside and out, right? Like, so he does. And he's got the gravitas of having played in the league. And he, I just don't know how you go from not coaching to coaching at that.
It's not easy.
Well, they're going to coach together, right? I mean, they're doing the podcast
now LeBron's
together.
staying,
I
right?
think this is the big selling point for LeBron. If you think he's going to come here or anywhere else, I think you can scratch that off the board because, I mean, he's doing the podcast with JJ.
The whole point is he and Jay, he'll be player coach.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
What makes LeBron think that he can lead an NBA team?
Well, you always think, listen, he's played GM before, right? Like, he got in trouble,
in Cleveland.
Not in trouble in the sense that he did not have success doing it.
Right.
But, like, of course, you always want to try to run the shots. His next – look, he's done everything in the league, right? So his next thing is, well, let me try to be coach and player, right?
Yeah,
let me write and direct and produce.
He's Jackie Moon.
To speak our language, VG.
I mean, my basketball resume is high school basketball, and I coach 10 and 7-year-olds, and I think I could GM and coach. So, LeBron, why wouldn't he think he could do it?
Exactly.
What is it? Would it be just career suicide if Morey just drafted Bronny and was like, yo, just held him hostage for either LeBron to come here or some huge package to get him in LA?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's happening, so it's kind of a waste. So what's your worst? Who's your worst?
My worst is obvious. Tested positive for COVID at like 4 a.m.
So what happened? You wake up and you're not feeling well, and you
I went to the game. I had a great time.
Go get a test. You have one of those. It's so interesting because I don't even think about COVID.
Oh, I got a closet full of tests. So yeah, I went to the game, felt great. I was working on some nugs at like 12:30. I was like, man, my allergies are screwed up, man. I better go take an allergy pill. And then like 1 o'clock, I just a little annoying like postnasal drip. Couldn't get to sleep. Had some chills for like 20 minutes. I feel pretty good now, but the pagan was like, you better test. You can't be going into a workplace. You better test to make sure. So I was like, all right.
Wow.
She was right.
Wow, that's wild. That's nuts.
I feel pretty good. I just got like a little bit of congestion.
All right.
Knock on wood. Hope it stays like this.
I was going to ask if there was like an indicator that's like, all right, I'm feeling this. I should test. Because like, if I'm feeling sick, I'm feeling sick.
We were all around VG yesterday.
I know. Like now I'm going to be like, oh man, am I getting it?
Now we all get tested.
When I got the chills, I was like, the chills isn't like allergies or a normal cold. But, that only lasted like 20 minutes, thankfully.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, feel better.
Yeah.
Hopefully you all are safe.
Yeah. Feel better. We'll see what happens. Look at Jules is making a face. Well, I know. Have to make sure we all stay away from Julia because she's going to be going to London.
Yeah, we can't.
So we don't want to go near Jules.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Getting COVID right before you're supposed to.
Don't even say it.
No, don't even say that, man.
Don't speak that.
Whoa, violation.
I'm knocking wood.
Don't say that.
That's a violation. I don't think I was within 6 feet of Julia yesterday, so we should be good.
No, we didn't see her. Yeah, we're good. We're good. My brother, feel better, buddy.
You're the man, VJ.
Yeah, man. See you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. COVID's back in the day. Go to Rite Aid, man. Make sure you stock up.
Literally.
All right. Make sure. All right. That's going to do for us. Great job, buddy.
Great job.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow. more Eagle stuff. I know Baldy will be at minicamp, so we're going to kind of dissect. We'll get a little X and O from mandatory minicamp tomorrow. And, of course, we'll see what's in store for the Phillies. 4 o'clock today. Another page will be written in this incredible story of summer love. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. Have a great day. We love you. We'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.